My name is Naomi Blake, and the day I found out I owned a $623,000 house I had never seen, my life split cleanly in two. It was a Wednesday afternoon in Minneapolis. I was 31, sitting at my desk at the pediatric clinic where I worked as an intake coordinator, finalizing patient charts while my coworker laughed about her toddler's latest meltdown. The walls were painted in cheerful pastels. Cartoon animals smiled from posters about handwashing. It was an ordinary, harmless day. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Normally, I let those go to voicemail. But something in my chest tightened before I even answered. I stepped into the hallway, pressed accept, and heard a calm male voice on the other end. "Miss Blake, this is Nathan from North Lakes Credit Union. I'm calling regarding your past due mortgage on the Highland property. You're 3 months delinquent." I blinked. "I'm sorry, what mortgage?" He repeated the balance. $623,000. For a moment, the world lost sound. I lived in a rented one-bedroom near Hennepin Avenue. I had no down payment saved, no cosigner, no secret real estate dreams. I clipped coupons. I used my PTO for dentist appointments. I watered my plants and paid my bills on time. "There must be a mistake," I whispered. Then he read the address. Highland Avenue. And suddenly, there wasn't a mistake. There was a memory. My sister Alyssa and her husband Gavin had moved into a beautiful Craftsman on Highland just months ago. I'd been there once. We'd eaten moose cake on the patio. She'd given me a tour, her voice full of pride, golden light spilling through the sunroom windows. My blood went cold. I ended the call politely. Walked into the staff restroom. Locked the door. Pulled up my credit report with shaking fingers. The mortgage was there. My name. My social security number. My address updated, to their house. I stared at my reflection in the mirror. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't call her. I just watched my face change. This wasn't a clerical error. It wasn't a glitch. Someone had stolen my identity to buy a $600,000 house. And I already knew who. What terrified me most wasn't the fraud. It was the certainty that when I said something, the people who raised us would beg me to stay quiet. The rest of that day passed in a blur. Children laughed in the waiting room. Printers hummed. Nurses chatted. I smiled when required, nodded when spoken to. But something inside me had cracked wide open. That night, I sat on my worn green couch and stared at the ivy trailing along my windowsill. I had grown those plants from clippings. Nursed them through Minnesota winters. Talked to them on nights when the world felt heavy. My apartment wasn't glamorous. But it was honest. Uncomplicated. Mine. Alyssa had always lived differently. She was 3 years older and had worn the spotlight like skin. Homecoming queen. Real estate license at 22. Husband with a finance degree. Luxury SUV. Curated Instagram life. Champagne and summer hats. And me? I processed new patient intakes and scheduled surgeries. I owned one pair of heels. I liked quiet mornings and balanced budgets. I didn't think I was boring. I thought I was peaceful. But peace doesn't impress at Sunday dinners. Every other week, we gathered at my parents' house in St. Paul. Dad uncorked a bottle of Cabernet and declared it too young. Mom insisted on second helpings before you'd finished your first. Alyssa always arrived late, laughing loudly, stories bigger than life. She would compliment my shoes, then ask if I'd considered moving somewhere more grown-up than a rental. I always laughed it off. It was easier than explaining that I had chosen stability over spectacle. They didn't ask much about my life. No one said it out loud, but I knew I didn't quite fit their version of success. And now that quiet, modest life was hanging by a thread. The next morning, I walked into North Lakes Credit Union with my ID, my social security card, and a heaviness in my chest that made breathing feel like labor. The branch manager, Evan Carlson, met me in a gray conference room with a plant so symmetrical it looked artificial. He slid a folder across the table. Inside were loan documents, closing disclosures, income statements. My name printed neatly across every page. A signature that looked almost like mine. Almost. This was processed online, Evan explained. Digital uploads. Income verification. The stated salary here is generous. How generous? $198,000 annually. I let out a hollow laugh. I make 42. His expression shifted. Miss Blake, if you didn't apply for this loan, this appears to be identity theft. You'll need to contact the police immediately. I want copies of everything, I said calmly. Calmer than I felt. Outside, I clutched that folder like it was a detonator. The damage ran deeper than one mortgage. My credit score had plummeted from 726 to 542. There was a home equity line. 3 maxed-out credit cards. A personal loan. All under my name. All linked to an email address 1 character off from mine. Close enough to fool a system. Close enough to ruin a life. A handwriting analyst confirmed the signatures were forged. Cleverly done. Intentionally done. Police would later uncover search history from Gavin's old laptop, how to declare bankruptcy in someone else's name. Can you abandon a stolen identity legally? This wasn't desperation. It was strategy. By the end of the week, I had enough evidence to build a case. But I still hesitated. Because Sunday dinner was coming. And I knew what would happen when I said the word police. Lasagna as always. Pinot poured. Laughter echoing in the dining room. Alyssa arrived 5 minutes late, glowing. Cream silk blouse. Perfect curls. Effortless. Naomi, you look so put together. Promotion I haven't heard about? No promotion, I said. Just dressing for the occasion. After the plates cleared, I placed the manila folder on the table. The room shifted. This is a police report, I said quietly. I filed it 3 days ago. My father straightened. Police? What happened? I looked directly at my sister. It's about identity theft. Fraud. A house purchased on Highland Avenue, in my name. Her smile faltered. Naomi, what are you talking about? I'm talking about the house you're living in. My mother gasped softly. The mortgage, I continued. The credit lines. The debt. It's all under me. Alyssa laughed, sharp and brittle. That's ridiculous. Forgery. False income. An email address 1 character off from mine. Need more? I slid the documents forward. Gavin stood abruptly. We don't have to do this here. Sit down, my father said, his voice low and unfamiliar. Silence. Then Alyssa whispered, it was supposed to be temporary. The air left my lungs slowly. You stole my identity. You weren't using it, she snapped. You live in a shoebox. We just needed time. Don't, I said. Don't turn this into a rescue mission. You built a life out of mine. Tears streaked her mascara. We were drowning. Everyone expected so much. The house. The image. We couldn't keep up. So you buried me to stay afloat, my father said. You were planning to file bankruptcy in my name, I added quietly. That was the moment the room truly understood. My father stood. Get out. Both of you. They left without another word. And just like that, the illusion shattered. The fallout was loud. News outlets picked up the investigation. Their polished social media life collapsed under court filings. Texts flooded in. I turned off my phone. My mother called, her voice thin. She's still your sister. Is there a way to handle this, quietly? Quietly. The word I'd been asked to live by my entire life. She made deliberate choices, I said. This wasn't a mistake. She could go to prison. I know. And the kids? That was the only thing that pierced me. Harper and Reed. 5 and 7. Innocent. Do you want them visiting their mother through glass? She asked. For the first time, I wavered. I didn't want revenge. I wanted my name back. But if a stranger had done this to me, would I hesitate? No. So why should biology earn her a discount? The district attorney moved forward with charges. I gave my statement. And when my mother texted, "Please don't let this ruin all of us," I replied with one sentence. She did that. Not me. 9 months after someone else used my name to build their dream, I signed a mortgage of my own. My name. My choice. My terms. A modest 2-bedroom in Bloomington. Patchy backyard. Outdated appliances. Dented mailbox. Perfect. Alyssa pleaded guilty. 18 months in federal prison. Gavin received 12. I didn't attend sentencing. I was busy rebuilding. Stephanie brought champagne and a welcome mat that read, "Not today, identity thieves." My mother came with lasagna in a familiar baking dish. My father handed me a fern in a clay pot. "I didn't say it before," he murmured, "but you were right." It wasn't an apology. But it was something. Weeks later, I received a letter sealed with a unicorn sticker. Dear Aunt Naomi. I know Mommy did something really bad. I still love her. I love you too. I drew a flower for your new house because Mommy says you grow good plants. Can I visit one day? I held that letter for a long time. The betrayal nearly broke me. But this isn't a story about ruin. It's a story about boundaries. About refusing to disappear for someone else's comfort. I may never forgive my sister. But I no longer live in her shadow. This house, imperfect, ordinary, real, was built on truth. Not theft. On accountability. Not silence. And for the first time in my life, I feel safe inside my own name.